They say when a secret stays too long in a calabash, the heat of truth will burst it open. In the quiet cocoa village of Asantem, nestled between the green hills of Kumasi and Obusi, Ghana, there once lived a man whose choices became a proverb for generations. His name was Kwemeduse, and his story is a powerful reminder that a man who forgets the rules of the compound risks bringing fire to his own roof. It all began during the Harmattan of 1992. The air was dusty, the roads were red, and laughter was as dry as the leaves. A stranger arrived in Asantem, his steps quiet, his face thoughtful. He introduced himself as Kwame from Sunyani, seeking a new beginning and a small piece of land to farm. He was polite, hardworking, and spoke with a gentle voice that quickly won over the villagers. Among those who admired his humble ways was Madame Akua Mensima, a graceful widow with a single daughter named Abina. Akua sold yams and palm oil in the market, and her smile carried the warmth of a hearth fire. One day, Kwame offered to help her carry her goods home. That simple act of kindness was the seed from which a friendship began to grow. Before long, Kwame became a familiar sight around Akua's home. He was always there, fixing fences, mending baskets, or helping with the cocoa beans. The villagers whispered, but gently. After all, what was so strange about a lonely woman and a kind man finding comfort in each other's company under the same sun? Their friendship blossomed into love, and by 1994, they joined their paths in marriage. The entire village of Asantem rejoiced. Drums beat long into the night, children danced with abandon, and palm wine flowed freely. Kwame became a part of the family, and he treated Akua's daughter, Abina, as if she were his own flesh and blood. He was a dedicated stepfather, making sure she continued her education in the nearby town of Obusi. From the outside, their home was a picture of happiness. But as the elders wisely say, when the sky is to clear, the wise man looks for the storm hiding behind the hill. Years passed. Abina grew into a fine young woman, bright, confident, and admired by all who knew her. Whenever she returned home from her studies, her laughter would fill the entire compound, bringing joy to everyone. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, something began to change. It wasn't in her, but in the air around her. Kwame, once so warm and present, grew quieter. Akua would often find him sitting alone, lost in thought, a strange shadow clouding his face. She also noticed a new, unsettling distance in her own home. Abina, too, seemed uneasy, often avoiding her stepfather's gaze, her usual bright spirit dimmed by an unspoken tension. Rumors began to move through the village like silent, shapeless shadows, heavy but impossible to grasp. No one could say exactly what they saw, but everyone felt that something was not right in that household. As the proverb goes, when a drum sounds different, the dancer must watch his steps. Akua felt the change in rhythm, but she couldn't yet see the cause. The storm finally broke on a morning in 1997. Akua traveled to Kumasi for a women's trade fair, a trip that would keep her away for 2 days. When she returned, she found her home wrapped in a silence so heavy it felt like a shroud. Abina kept to her room more than usual, and Kwame actively avoided her mother's eyes, his guilt a tangible presence in the house. Akua's heart whispered warnings, a cold dread creeping into her soul. But she brushed them aside, telling herself, suspicion is a scorpion. If you hold it too long, it stings your own peace. But truth, as they say, does not stay buried forever. Weeks later, Akua overheard a conversation that froze her heart in her chest. It wasn't a loud argument, just a few whispered words exchanged between Quain and Abina, words that confirmed her deepest, most unthinkable fears. Words that no mother should ever have to hear. In that moment, her world shattered. She didn't shout, she didn't weep. The pain was too deep for tears. With a chilling calm, she simply packed her belongings and walked out of the house that same evening, leaving behind the life she had built. The story spread through Asantem like wind through dry leaves, leaving a trail of shock, anger, and confusion. Quain, desperate to salvage his reputation, tried to explain himself, but his words were empty. The village elders summoned him before the council. They listened in grave silence as he spoke. When he finished, one old man, his face etched with sorrow and wisdom, delivered the verdict. "A man who plants the seeds in one hole," he said, his voice low but firm, "grows nothing but shame." They asked him to leave the village. It was not an act of hatred, but a necessity, a painful surgery to remove a sickness and allow peace to return. That very night, Quain went away. No one knew where he went. The river of Asantem seemed to swallow his footprints, and in time, the wind erased even the memory of his voice from the air. In the aftermath of the storm, Akua and Abina moved to another town to start anew. Life was far from easy. They carried the scars of betrayal, but together, they learned to breathe again, to find sunlight after the darkness. Years later, Abina became a teacher, dedicating her life to helping children find light and opportunity through education. She never spoke of the past, but those who knew her well said her smile carried both a profound wisdom and a quiet, lingering sorrow. As for Quain, his fate remains a mystery. Some say he became a preacher in a distant land, seeking redemption in the words he spoke. Others say he simply wandered until the wind forgot his name entirely. No one can say for sure, but his story did not disappear. It became a lesson, woven into the fabric of the village's memory. Today, whenever a young man in Asantem forgets himself or strays from the path of honor, the elders will look at him and say, "Remember the man who carried two hearts and dropped them both." And when mothers offer guidance to their daughters, they remind them, even kindness must know its boundary. For too much warmth can burn the hand that offers it. The story of Quain Medusa remains a shadow on the village wall, a solemn reminder that no matter how sweet the palm wine, you must always know when to stop drinking. And as the evening drum fades into the quiet of the night, the griots, the storytellers, whisper the final, timeless words. The heart is a traveler, but the wise one teaches it where not to wander. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales that teach and inspire. We'll see you in the next video.